get there better. Where a lot of people get hung up on that instruction, Lisa, is that I can't feel this way alone. That's why I want someone in my life in order to help me feel that, because this isn't something you can feel solo, which would tell me what you respond when you hear that.
You're not going to feel it together either. I mean, I told this story yesterday on my interview with Matt O'Grady, and I've told this story a lot of times before. And I want to talk about Unicorn Syndrome. But, I mean, I was flowing what I call Unicorn Syndrome really big before I met David. I didn't think the guy existed, and I didn't think it was possible. And I knew as a deliberate creator that I was flowing that, and I didn't know how to shake it. I was trying. I mean, I've got some good material in my life because, you know, my parents are madly in love and have been for 100 years, almost literally. But for some reason, I couldn't get into that. I couldn't get it. Like, for me, it still seemed, it's like I was kind of doing that bit about all the good guys are gone, they're taken. It's too late for me. My parents found each other early on. I couldn't do it. And so knowing that I was struggling with it, I had to get out of my own head and into somebody else's evidence. And I had a friend who hadn't had a lot of luck in love, putting it mildly. She'd seen some tough times in that department, as I had, and she miraculously manifested the man of her dreams. So lovely and so perfect that we were all a little suspicious of him for a while. But they still, to this day, have one of the best marriages I've ever seen. And watching Trudy do it allowed me, it broke my unicorn syndrome. It's like, oh, Jack exists. But once I could see that Jack existed, the evil spell was broken. I had to get out of my own life and go out in the world and be willing to look for evidence someplace else when I really couldn't dig it up for myself.
That's a good way to accomplish that, too.
So let's talk about unicorn syndrome for a second. Were you going to say something else before I shift gears?
No, I was just going to say I'd like you to elaborate on unicorn syndrome.
When you're trying to attract something you don't believe exists. Like, dude, I totally want a pet unicorn. I've got chickens in the backyard. They've got a lovely coop. And I think a unicorn in the backyard with the chickens would be awesome. And I've seen pictures of unicorns, and I have even gotten online and looked at pictures of strange animals that have horns coming out. You know, maybe there is a unicorn. I think a unicorn would be awesome. But I'm not on Craigslist looking for one. I don't believe it exists. And I see this all the time in trying to attract relationships and probably other things, but relationships are what I do, where somebody comes to the table and they're like, I want this guy or this woman. I want her to be like this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. She's going to be pretty and she's going to be sweet and she's going to be really creative and she's going to, she's going to love my family and we're going to go on wild trips and we're going to have great sex and it's going to be amazing and she's going to laugh at all my jokes. She's never going to cheat on me because she's the most honest person ever with the most integrity, and she's got this fiery, passionate personality. And yet I don't think she really exists. But that's what I really want, but it's not really out there.
And a lot of people aren't even conscious that they don't believe in what they want. Mm-hmm. Like they might say, of course I believe in it. Yeah, I get it. Everything exists. Everything's possible. Yeah, no, I do. I've been tripped up on this one my own self in manifesting my dream house, where I've had to check some conflicting feelings or thoughts about, can it really be that good? Like that's me restricting what I'm allowing universe to deliver, because if I don't fully believe in it, it's not coming. It can't. Because universe has to make me right every time. If I think that doesn't exist, I'm right. I get to be right, which is why it's so important for us to be conscious of these things that we might not realize are impeding our manifesting efforts.
What might be some clues that you're trying to attract something that you don't believe exists?
A lack of success is probably where I would start. Mm-hmm. If it's taken a while, that might be there. You might have room for improvement. In fact, this is why one of my favorite exercises that Abraham shares is amping up your belief. I've heard them say If you have strong desire and strong belief, you're unstoppable, because those are the two keys to successful manifesting. So one of their exercises in written form, the top of the page, you write down what it is that you want. Underneath that, you list all the reasons why you want it. However many come to mind. Doesn't matter whether it's 3 or 30. You write down as many. You stop when you're stretching, because once you're starting stretching, thinking for a reason, you're activating doubt, or you're activating something else. On the back side of the paper, you write down all the reasons why you believe you can have it. Lisa, sometimes what I do for my alignment exercise in the morning is just remind myself of why I believe I can have what I want, because belief is so key to manifesting.
Mhm. And I think we've taken it another layer. I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe that exists, but do I believe I can have it? Then you're into like the ninja training level of this particular exercise. And I think that they're really closely attached. We can fool ourselves into thinking that we can nail the alignment because we do believe it exists, without really asking the question, do I think I can get this? Like, I didn't have any doubt when I was dating that there were great, amazing, awesome, super hot, really successful, fantastic, ultra spiritual men on the planet who were single. I believed that. A lot of people don't even believe that much, but I knew that was true. I had a Match.com account. It's like a man catalog.
Catalog.
But they weren't showing up in droves at my door. It wasn't that I didn't believe they existed. It was that I didn't believe, I was not giving myself enough reasons to believe that I could have that.
Yeah, and look, worthiness comes into play here. And again, this is something that most people aren't even remotely consciously of, or remotely conscious of, when they don't feel worthy of what they want. But it can kink a lot of manifesting parties. Which is why self-love is so important, because when you amp that up, you eliminate that obstacle.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of surprised the only thing we haven't said over and over and over again on this call is the universe can only treat you as well as you treat yourself.
I like to remind myself that, let alone clients, because it's such a powerful inspiration for being good to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to take a commercial, and then I want to come back for a second and talk about worthiness a little bit more, because I think there's some juicy stuff in here on worthiness.
There is no choice in life that will have more impact on your happiness than who you choose to share it with. Everyone wants to find that one big love. However, most people are looking for that love kind of like they would play the lottery. Finding great love is not a game of chance. Score Your Soulmate by Lisa M. Hayes is a by-the-numbers guide to finding the love of your life and creating a life you love. Score Your Soulmate is a step-by-step soulmate finding formula that anyone can follow. What you will get along the way is a swoon-worthy life you'll want to share with that perfect someone. You can find Score Your Soulmate on Amazon or your local bookstore. Get your copy and start your journey to happily ever after today.
Lisa, before we talk about worthiness, can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
What I love, one of the things I love most about Score Your Soulmate is that you took something that a lot of people feels really abstract, like they don't know how to wrap their arms around it, and you made it so concrete. I'm a rising Capricorn. I love the process you shared in that book. It's inspiring. Yeah, it's amazing. And I also wish your commercial had smooching sounds in it. I almost made them. I don't know if we're muted for commercials or not, but I had to mute myself to go. Only because I think I heard that in the intro for your radio show, not for any other reason. I just I love that.
I was thinking the other day, like, I haven't even properly thanked you for giving me the title Score Your Soulmate, because you were the one who came up with that.
Shut up. I thought that was so
You.
brilliant. I had no idea that came from some inspiration for me. How cool is that?
It was flat out you. We were on the phone one day, and I ran through the process with you, and you were like, oh, I'm going to go look for scoreyoursoulmate.com. It's like, oh.
Stop it. Wow. I've been telling people how much I like it. I'm like, it's score on. It's not how you might be thinking, because it works on both levels.
That was your genius. You did it.
Super good.
All right, let's talk about deserving. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say something that's going to raise some eyebrows right now.
Ooh, I love it when you do that.
Wrapping back around to our original question, I'm not positive that if you are fully standing in your righteous, God-given, I'm going to use that word, your birthright of deserving, in your highest joy with the light of all things amazing shining on you, that you would ever be asking the question, how can I manipulate the law of attraction to attract this one specific person? I think possibly that if you are asking that question, if that is coming up for you, or questions like that are coming up for you, you are not far enough in to the delicious, wonderful joyride that is utter, absolute deserving, because if you were, first of all, you would be attracting all the lovely things you want anyway, but you would so strongly be standing in a feisty place with the universe being like, well, that person obviously doesn't deserve me. There's something about ultimate deserving where we are no longer struggling to attract anything because we're getting what's coming to us, and we're satisfied with that.
I was just going to add that there's a satisfaction, a fulfillment that prevents us from having that yearning or that striving kind of energy.
Mm-hmm. And for somebody who really wants to attract the guy that they're specifically looking at, that's probably going to piss them off to say, I think you're looking for this because your state of deserving isn't strong enough, but I will stand there anyway.
Well, and that's why that self-love to the rescue again, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we remedy that situation. I've maybe met one person who couldn't benefit from practicing self-love. I think that might have been Byron Katie, but everyone else I've ever met, seems to me we could all benefit from enhancing how we feel about ourselves, how we treat ourselves in thought and in action.
I mean, how often do you start with a new client or a previously existing client or a conversation with me? How often do you start an encounter with anyone where self-love isn't the first thing you talk about?
Well, look, I've heard Abraham say for some people that might be too big a stretch. It might be too far for them to go, so they're better off practicing love in general on something outside of themselves because it's just too challenging to direct that energy on oneself. And yet, that's why I wrote an ebook on the subject. I don't think there's anything that is more conducive to happy living, to getting what we want, whatever you want to call it, than practicing self-love. I think that's I think that's where, if that's all we paid attention to, if that's all we practice, I believe all our dreams will come true. We don't even need to know anything else. Just learn how to love yourself. You know what, Lisa? You know, in our 10 Life Skills ebook, I don't think that's in there, is it? The things we weren't taught that are totally essential. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
It wasn't my chapter, so I'm not responsible. Or it kind of was, actually. That is not true. It kind of was my chapter because my chapter was about mastering self-care. I'm going to move away from the snoring dog.
Well, can we just talk about that?
Self-care.
How many people think
is self-love in motion?
What a beautiful definition. I can't tell you how many people I talk with who think they've got self-love mastered because they have a regular massage, they get their nails done. You know, they think they're self-love queens because they're practicing self-care. I'm like, there's a distinction.
There is a distinction. I think that the distinction comes in what's driving your self-care. Because, I mean, if I have somebody who says to me, okay, I do self-care, I'm getting my nails done, I'm going to the gym every day, I spend 45 minutes on the treadmill, I blah, 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 and the massage is just like the thing that you can do to get on to the next day. Sometimes we frame self-care in a very self-punishing way. Like I'm doing this so I can be different than I am.
Oh, yeah, if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, I'm eating right, I'm following my diet, I'm meeting with my trainer, I'm doing the work. That that might meet some people's definition of self-care, but you're right. The energy you do it with, that could actually be